You do your
Very good morning to you and welcome to Newsroom. We're coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg. I'm Shante Yankee, so standing by with your sports is Marumo Kakana.
And Marumo Kakana from the sports desk. Good morning to you. It's been an interesting morning, depending, well, I guess looking at the activities that happened prior to you getting to office, you were telling me earlier.
Definitely, Marumo. Let's get into the question of the day. Today we're asking you a more serious question. What do you rather think needs to be done to curb fires in informal settlements? Please send us your comments on @SABC Newsroom. Of course, we have had some of those comments come in today. Let's have a look at some of the tweets here.
Let's take this one coming from Zwandile Nkambule, saying awareness campaign in each and every month should sensitize amongst the neighbors.
Definitely, specifically when it's cold. This one coming in from Nosina saying people who live in informal settlements must be extra cautious when starting fire for braaiing, candle lighting, paraffin stoves or any other gas appliances. I definitely agree, especially when it's cold.
Couldn't agree more, eh?
Yeah, definitely. And let's have a look at the sports question of the day. What do you have?
And the sports question of the day, we're asking you, what do you make of the first ever day-night test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe? And I can tell you that much. I was telling you earlier on that it must have been an experience for the Zimbabwean players, given the fact that you're facing some of the fastest bowlers in the world. We're talking the likes of Kagiso Rabada, and Mokal. These are the fastest guys that you have to bet against at night.
A nightmare is what you termed it.
It's a nightmare. But of course, Mlambo sent his tweet saying a great experience and the spark at the stadium looks awesome. Couldn't agree more. Like our people out in P was just beautiful last night.
Having a ball yesterday. Yeah. This one coming in from Nazim Krutbom. Wow, that was awesome first day and night test match. I really enjoyed it last night. Well, there you have it.
So I guess everyone is looking forward to day 2 then.
Definitely. So we'll just have to wait to see what is in store for us. For now, though, let's have a look at your headlines. Well, President Zuma joins scores of South Africans in sending messages of condolences following the passing of music producer Robby Malinga. Mpumalanga road accident kills 5 after vehicle loses control near Komati Port. And the city of Cape Town vows to help more than 600 people displaced by fires.
And in sports, it's day 2 of the historic day-night 4-day cricket test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe in the windy city of Port Elizabeth. Aiden Makram hit his 2nd century in 3 test matches, and Morne Mokel produced a devastating spell of the new ball, bowling as South Africa took command on the first day of a 4-day day-night test against Zimbabwe at the St. George's Park. The visitors are on the back foot with a 4 down and still trailing the Proteas first innings by 279 runs. Day 1 belonged to the home team after they won the toss and elected to bat. And coming back home, boxing fans have taken to social media to share their condolences to the Towell family after 4-time SA champion Willie Towell passed away on Christmas night. He was 83 years old, and Towell won a bronze medal in the flyweight division at the 1952 Olympics. May his soul rest in peace. I'll be back with this and more from the sports desk, but now we hand you over to the main desk where Ms. Yankees is standing by with your headlines.
Thank you very much, Marumo. Having a look at your top story at 9 o'clock. President Jacob Zuma has joined many prominent South Africans in sending messages of condolences following the passing of music legend Robby Malinga. A memorial service will be held on Friday, followed by his funeral service next week, Tuesday. Well, tributes continue to pour in for the Afro-pop singer, songwriter and producer.
Are you ready to sing with me? What's up?
From humble beginnings to a renowned star and composer, it all started on the streets of Soweto. Number 1903 in Meadowlands, a place Malinga called home for over 3 decades.
We loved him whenever he would come here. We used to come out on the streets and be happy. We are so proud of him. He really put us on the map.
He used to come to us as neighbors, door to door, as we share a happy Christmas, say everything. He was a very friendly person.
But for many, the music will live on in their hearts.
Baby, baby, bengi rongo. Mthande, umuntu wakho.
At his Dainfern home, many lost for words. Malinga battled ill health for the last few months.
He actually had his last breath on my hands. You know, he asked me to tend him after seeing the whole family, because we had lunch organized by him, you know. And he looked at everyone, smiled. After I've turned him, that was it, you know.
The government has described Malinga's death as a huge loss for South Africa and the music industry. A memorial service for the star will take place on Friday, followed by his funeral next week, Tuesday. Malinga is survived by a wife and 4 children. Mahlako Komani, SABC News, Johannesburg.
5 people have died on the N4 toll road near Komati Port in Mpumalanga after 2 vehicles collided head-on. It's believed one of the vehicles veered into oncoming traffic.
Yet another fatal crash. A bakkie and sedan collided head-on. It's believed one of the vehicles veered onto oncoming traffic.
This accident took life of 5 people. It's an accident which involved 2 vehicles, a Toyota bakkie and a Toyota Auris.
Mpumalanga has recorded over 500 road crashes since the beginning of December. The crashes resulted in more than 100 fatalities. Speeding and driving under the influence of alcohol remain a challenge. 300 drivers were arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol and 127 arrested for speeding this month.
We want to urge the community at large, people who are using the road, all the road users, that immediately you get into the road, make sure that you make all people who are using the road to be safe, including yourself. So if that can happen, because it cannot be a responsibility of police or government to make road users to be safe.
Motorists have once again been urged to exercise caution on the roads. Moeli Maslela, SABC News at Komati Port in Mpumalanga.
Well, the city of Cape Town has vowed to help displaced fire victims by providing building starter kits. Well, more than 600 people are homeless after the fire gutted the informal settlement of Sevendelaan in Valhalla Park on the Cape Flats. The fire ravaged over 100 shacks. No injuries were reported, but residents have lost everything.
Gutted both their homes and their emotions. Community members say very little was saved. They say they woke up to a fire that spread quickly. A lot of people have spent whatever funds they had on Christmas festivities.
I spent 7,000 rands on making my home nice. And now what is left is nothing, absolutely nothing.
Kathleen October says she's been living here for 17 years and 3 times fire has destroyed everything. She, like Teresa Carose, are asking for formal houses. Carose says they have no possessions left.
We need a place to stay. We need clothes and shoes. We bought everything for our children for school already, and now it's gone. We have no furniture, nothing.
The city of Cape Town, in conjunction with NGOs, have opened the local civic center to accommodate the destitute. Blankets, mattresses, food and clothes will be provided. Any donations, including school clothes and furniture, will be welcomed.
Well, KZN police say the suspect they've arrested in their investigation into the Gleblands Hostel murders will appear at the Umlazi Magistrates Court today. It is believed that the suspect is linked to the murder of Dolakele Nkakata, who was shot and killed at the hostel in August. The hostel is notorious for being a source of crime where hit squads are allegedly based.
The 32-year-old man is linked to 2 murders at Gleblands Hostel. It included the killing of 30-year-old Tolakele Nkakata in August this year. The suspect was also on the police most wanted list. A tip-off led to his arrest. He was found in possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. A few weeks ago, police made a breakthrough in the Gleblands killings, arresting 7 suspects, including a police officer. Police uniforms and vital documents were recovered from some of the suspects' home. Police say they are expecting to make more arrests soon. Over 100 people have been killed at the hostel since 2014. Tulani Mpumalanga, SABC News, Durban.
And some news abroad. Vote counting in Liberia is underway following a peaceful runoff election for a new president. The 2 candidates are former international football star George Weah as well as Vice President Joseph Boakai. Well, the ballot was delayed for 7 weeks due to legal challenges lodged by Bokai's Unity Party against the Electoral Commission over the conduct of the first round of voting. Many of the complaints appeared to have been addressed in the second round. Weah topped the first round of voting with 38.4%, while Boakai came in second with 28.8%. Well, that triggered a runoff as neither made it past the 50% needed to win outright. Results are expected in a few days in what would be the West African country's first democratic transition since 1944. Well, police officers in Somalia have concluded an intensive 10-day training course on combating improvised explosive devices. The IEDs are a weapon of choice for Al-Shabaab and other militant groups.
African Union mission in Somalia has concluded a 10-day training course on countering improvised explosive devices for Southwest police officers. The training held in the administrative capital focused on prevention and detection of the devices, which has become preferred weapon of choice for Al-Shabaab and other militant groups in Somalia.
The purpose of this course was to create an awareness to the officers so that they are able to identify EIDs and be able to call upon experts to come and diffuse such EIDs.
According to AMISOM, the training was aimed at equipping Somalia police with vital skills to detect explosives planted by insurgents. The officers were taken through a number of topics on safety and security.
This is part of AMISOM's mandate to capacitate the Somali police force, and we taught them some components of IED, EOD, the types of EOD, IED, and border management courses, modules, and we even taught them first aid at the crime scene and casualty awareness assessment.
One of the trainees described the course as timely, adding that it would help them discharge their duties effectively.
We were taught many things that will be useful to our country. For example, how to detect where a landmine has been planted. We also learned how to administer first aid to victims and how to rush the victims to hospital for treatment.
The mission has played a big role in establishing the Southwest State Police Force by training 600 police officers who have played a major role in improving security in the region. Another 600 police officers in Jubaland have also been trained And plans are underway to recruit and train more officers in Hishibali State next year.
Let's have a look at our picture of the day, and it comes from Cricket South Africa. This one says hot, a boundary, and brings up his second Test century. It comes off 175 balls, including 13 fours and a 6. Take a bow, you beauty. Hashtag Protea5. Of course, Maruma was telling us that it was a very exciting day yesterday for everybody that was able to watch the cricket. We will await and see what commences later. Having a look at the comment of the day. This one comes in from Minister Nathi Ntheta. Of course, we're heartbroken to learn the news of the untimely passing of legendary Kwaito and Afro-pop producer Robby Malinga. We lost an illustrious Kwaito pioneer who paved the way for future generations of artists. We send our deepest sympathies to his loved ones. Hashtag Robby Malinga. Of course, condolences to his family, and may his soul rest in peace. Let's have a look now at some other news making headlines in our courts today. We'll start off in the Western Cape province. Well, these 7 men with alleged links to the violent takeover of the bouncer industry at Cape Town nightclubs are also set to apply for bail in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today. They were arrested at their homes on the 15th of December and spent Christmas behind bars. Well, 2 of them face charges relating to the illegal possession of firearms. 5 others are facing charges relating to extortion. One of these suspects is the brother of an alleged gang boss. The prosecution asked for the postponement to the profile of the men. We'll stay in the Western Cape. 2 other suspects have been arrested for alleged possession of illegal uncut diamonds, and they are also expected to appear in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today. Police spokesperson FC van Wyk says that their vehicle was pulled off the road on Saturday when they jumped a red traffic light in the CBD. A search of the vehicle led to the discovery of 74,000 rand in cash and 6 uncut stones. Van Wyk says that the 2 men could not give a suitable explanation for actually being in possession of the cash as well as the gems. The men, who are from Delft, are facing charges of illegal possession of uncut diamonds as well as reckless and/or negligent driving. Moving on to the KZN province, KwaZulu-Natal police say that the suspect that they have arrested in the investigation into the Glebelands Hostel murders will also now appear at the Umlazi Magistrates Court today. It is believed that the suspect is linked to the murder of Dulakele Nkata, who was shot and killed at the hostel in August this year. Well, the hostel is notorious for being a source of crime and where hit squads are allegedly based. A number of ANC as well as SACP members have been assassinated in the recent months in KZN. Police seized an unlicensed pistol with 15 rounds of ammunition. The man has been charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition. Let's move on now to the northwest. 2 suspects are expected to appear at the Khanyesa and Isoseng Magistrates Courts in the northwest on separate charges of murder. A 65-year-old woman is expected to appear in the Khanyesa Magistrates Court following her arrest for allegedly stabbing her own nephew to death after an argument during a tombstone unveiling ceremony. In the other incident, a man allegedly stabbed another one after a fight occurred at a Shabir, and of course that is going to take place at the Isoseng Magistrates Court. Well, that's a wrap up for now here on Newsroom. Do stay tuned.
And from me and the Newsroom team, we wish you a safe, merry and a happy Christmas. Let's all hope that you enjoy a festive season ahead.
It's Christmas, it's a festive season, it's everything good, and we're moving into a new year. Oh yes. Please don't get into debt.
And don't drink and drive. See you next year.
From script to screen, from yelling action to taking you on a journey. Radio producers, script writers, On-air presenters, news reporters, sports analysts, keeping you informed, educated, and entertained. For us, it's not a job, it's a calling. We do this and more because you do your part. SABC TV licenses, made possible by you.
Welcome back. Well, 2017 will be remembered as a year when lots of women came out and told the world that they are actual rape survivors. Well, this then led to the hashtag #MeToo trending as many women found a voice and came out and spoke. SABC News spoke to Kapelo Shabalala from the Young Men Movement and asked him what his thoughts were on the hashtag #MeToo.
I won't say I'm surprised, and it's a very sad thing that one doesn't find what is happening around the world and locally surprising. And because I'm a boy who grew up in the villages where such incidents are not reported, but yet they're talked about in the taverns, in the corners, at school, and with women feeling so ashamed of what has happened, not really brave enough to report the perpetrators. I think that we are given an opportunity as men to introspect. However, dealing with people that are already feeling entitled, that feel as if, as a man who's in his early 20s, 30s, and late 40s, I'm entitled to do what I want to do, and you can't really redirect or tell me how to live my life. It is precisely why we started a movement called the Young Men Movement to ensure that we change the socialization of boys who later turn out to be men, to avoid a breed of men who are continuing a cycle of rapists, a cycle of bullies, a cycle of men who are violent. And I think that's why when they came all out, for me, it was a case of saying to the boys, what do you make of this? And I got very interesting reactions, but equally so, they were telling me that it's precisely right. We grow up with a sense of, you know, a boy privilege. You take little responsibilities with chores at home. This later on develops to them becoming the people who feel entitled to so many things without taking responsibility. And it's not even a case of growing up in a violent home, but it's a case of realizing that your masculinity gives you an extra advantage over women. Hence, we end up facing such crises.
Now, we live in a patriarchal society, so how do you almost like change these boys in relation to where we are today to be almost to be circumspect in terms of their actions and what they take for granted, so to speak?
Patriarchy, we have negative ones. There's nothing, they're born men, so they're naturally masculine. And we're trying to make them understand that there are things that happened during apartheid, which was a system that somewhat contributed towards the uplifting of patriarchy and leaving the women out. So them as a new generation or as a new breed of men is trying to make them understand that they can be men that are different. They can share the space with the women as they do in class. They can share the chores at home. I remember this one time when I asked them about eating or food. Basic responsibility of nourishing your own body, a responsibility of your sister or your mom, when you yourself can get into the kitchen and prepare food and, you know, and go eat. So it is the very same basic fundamental things that we are teaching them that make them have a they should be or do with the world.
Is that what you're searching for, to create a new breed of men in future?
Definitely. I mean, remember the hashtag men are trash, which was followed by not in my name, which was followed by not all men are trash. But when we talk about, when that generalization came through, it was not necessarily saying that every second man you come across is trash. But what it was saying is that men in general are doing things that are inhuman, are doing things that are unthinkable. So we sat down and realized that we can't be really taking people that are working, that think that they know it all, to try and help them change. So looking into a group of boys that are from 7 to 20, it's an easier way to change perception or make them view things in a different way.
So, Kabela, what are you doing right now in order to change that perspective? And what sort of projects are you busy with to get all these young men together to change their mindset?
The mindset. It's a big task. Overall, in the long run, in 15 years, I want to see the movement having at least more than 1,000 members. At the moment, we're sitting with about 65 boys that we see every second week. Now, with them coming together, with them discussing different issues, they be political, they be social, it's a case of trying to say to them, it's a world where equality should reign. It's a world where equity should reign. It's a world where sharing space with men should not make you feel less of a man or less of a boy. So what we try to do with different games played, we're trying to show them, making them understand the politics of our country, making them to understand where we're coming from as a country so that they can understand why, in fact, we're trying to empower them to be better. Because the saddest thing with what we, South Africa today, is that we are empowering the girl child who's going to deal with an unempowered black boy or man.
Yeah.
So it is that imbalance. We're trying to say to them, yes, in order for us to have a better generation of men, they too need to understand why a girl child is empowered or why a girl child is afraid of them, so that they can become better, so that they can be protectors. We want young men of integrity. We need a generation of men that are honest. You need a generation of men that when you walk around at Bree at night, you know that you're feeling safe because there's a man walking behind you or in front of you, not to feel scared for your life, but rather to feel protected. Because I think one of the things that make men better is them being protectors and providers and so on.
This young men movement sounds like a wonderful initiative, but it's also a tedious movement because a tedious thing to do because you have to only engage personally with young men. Are you looking perhaps at engaging at a broader scale?
Of course, like I said, you could call it tedious if you haven't seen the day-to-day runnings of what happens. In the group with boys that are from primary schools, middle schools and high schools that have somehow taken leadership positions at school, that have somewhat, I've seen them change at home from being those mischievous kids to changing to taking responsibility, to being trusted to stay at home with their siblings and ensuring that they are well taken care of. Nothing tedious about that. Watching them at school, checking their results, being improved because of behavioral changes, that comes from the very same movement that is actually empowering him. Nothing really tedious about that. So I think that what we are doing is something that is going to start at a slow process.
Because so it's empowering one and that can duplicate itself.
Look, we're saying that as a house is built one brick at a time, we build in society one boy at a time. So it's not going to happen overnight, but the changes are there. Progress is there. And with 60 already in the bag behaving differently, in the next 5 years to 10 years, it's probably going to be 600 or more. So
how can people get in touch with you? Because I think that is the type of thing that we need for young men in this country.
On Facebook, it's Kabelo Chabalala. On Twitter, it's at Kabelo J. And the rest, we can talk about them from there and then see how we can take the small movement, because it's not ours. It's not even for South Africa, but it's for the world, because the crisis of terrible men who are, I don't even want to call them monsters, something that is a universal crisis. So we all need to engage. We all need to come together and breed this new generation of men.
Constitutional Development and the NPA conducted a two-day national forum on the implementation of the Criminal Law, Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Act at Emperor's Palace. The event was attended by civil society bodies, researchers and participating government departments from across the criminal justice sector. In 2016-2017, a total number of 49,660 cases of sexual assault have been reported. SABC News spoke to the Deputy Minister. Let's move along now and have a look at some other news. Well, some of South Africa's leading universities are in danger of losing their accreditation for undergraduate law degrees. The Council for Higher Education has downgraded the University of Cape Town's LLB program to the notice of withdrawal of accreditation. The council has withdrawn Walter Sisulu University's accreditation to offer LLB degrees in its law faculty effective from January 2019. The council assessed 21 universities and found that Walter Sisulu's LLB program had underqualified lecturers and its lecture halls were not suitable for use, among other concerns. SABC News spoke to Professor Narendra Majinath from the Council for Higher Education.
Well, we undertook in 2016 a major review of the LLB. This followed the development of a standard for the LLB. Now, the Council on Higher Education is responsible for quality assurance throughout higher education, public and private. And one of the elements of the quality assurance process is to undertake reviews of programs right across the sector. So this flows out of the process that culminated in March this year. And then there's been a further process after we'd given feedback to the institutions. And they had to effect certain improvements. So on the basis of the improvement plans that had been submitted or reports on progress, we undertook a further evaluation, and the outcomes of that process in early November are what's in the public domain right now.
And what's new, or what will change?
What is new is that certain institutions did not fulfill the requirements which we had specified in the March-April process. So their status changed. So those who had fulfilled them and had addressed all of the concerns have had positive outcomes, and those that hadn't or still have further work to do have been given further notice and have until May 2018 to address these concerns.
And you want this LLB to be in line with the Constitution?
One of the key principles, let's remember that most of these LLB programs were developed several decades ago and have not undergone any kind of evaluation of this nature. So between the South African Law Deans Association and the legal profession itself, as well as the Council on Higher Education, it was agreed that a review of the LLB would be valuable. So we undertook the review with a view to looking at its the extent to which it gives expression to the Constitution and constitutional values, the extent to which the program develops a well-rounded graduate who's conscious of what the Constitution aspires to and wants to achieve. And it is very, very important recognizing the unequal access to legal services, that the graduates from our universities are mindful of this, and that they accept the burden or the responsibility rather than the burden to make the law more accessible as well.
And we've had our constitutions for some time, and it's now that you're making these amendments. What was happening between now and then?
Well, the Council on Higher Education undertakes a whole range of quality assurance activities. So we do quality assurance at the institutional level through audits of institutional quality and their systems of quality. Every new program that's offered is evaluated and then accredited by the Council on Higher Education as well. And these are several hundred, running up to 600 to 700 a year. So that's an onerous responsibility for the Council on Higher Education. And then the third dimension, of course, is the national reviews. So we've undertaken several other national reviews, and we do so within the capacity of the Council on Higher Education. So we've completed, for example, a review some years ago of the MBA. We've completed a national review of the educational qualifications. We have others in the pipeline at the moment, which include the BCom and all the doctoral offerings. So there are several processes underway, and remember that there are in the region of 11,000 qualifications on offer in all of our public and private higher education institutions. So it's not possible to do all of them, while many may benefit clearly from a quality, a national review or a quality assurance exercise.
Okay, you say some universities, those that may be lagging behind, have been given some more time. How much time do they have?
They have 6 months since we gave them notification a few weeks ago. And in that time, we also offer them support and advice on what they need to do. And there are very clear guidelines on what needs to be done. We give them detailed reports which specify exactly what improvements they need to attend to in order to get the accreditation.
Well, the Departments of Justice and Constitutional Development and the NPA conducted a 2-day national forum course on the implementation of criminal law, sexual offences and related matters, and over 49,660 cases had been reported. SABC News spoke to the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mr. John Jeffrey.
There's always room for improvement. The Act has been in place for 10 years, so it's a good time to evaluate it after 10 years. What we wanted to do was specifically look at the operation of the Act, the operation of the criminal justice system, particularly from when a victim, a survivor of rape, goes and reports it at the police station, right through to the process in court. So what we did was we wanted to be evidence-based, so there were inputs in the beginning on current up-to-date research on the issue, and then there were breakaways into 3 groups looking at 3 aspects of the process. But the idea was to bring together role players, both from government departments, the sort of leadership, as well as people at the coalface. So the sort of more senior leadership of the NPA, together with prosecutors who are actually prosecuting sexual offences cases. And there's a number of role players in the Sexual Offences Act. There's the police, there's the detectives, there's health practitioners, there's civil society groups offering support, there's prosecutors, there's court functionaries, there's judicial officers. So it's quite a complex group of people, and the idea was basically to assess where are the shortcomings and how can we improve on them.
Now, sexual offences is a broad category that includes rape, sexual assault, attempted sexual offences and contact sexual offences. Are there plans to change the structure and the legislation, rather, to focus sharply on rape alone?
No. The Act, when it came into effect, broadened the definition of rape. So it's any form of penetration, which it wasn't before. Generally, the view is, I think, that the Act is a good one. There's not too many changes that should be made. There were 2 that came up in the forum. The one was a more technical one relating to the competency tests for child witnesses. The other was a more substantial policy one of allowing the state to appeal where it disagrees with the court's finding on a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the Act, the general view is the Act is fine. What we've got to improve on is the implementation.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about implementation, how and when will this then be implemented in order to basically streamline things as it stand?
Look, there's no one solution. There's no button that you can press and it will all come right. There's a number of areas that there can be improvement on. We're waiting for the report to be written up on the 2-day proceedings and all the recommendations. In terms of the Sexual Offences Act, the Director General of Justice chairs a intersectoral committee of different government departments. So the report will go there, and we will then also continue with this steering committee that we had that set up the workshop between government and civil society to monitor the implementation of the recommendations. But there's no one solution. I mean, we've already got a number of strategies in place. We're rolling out sexual offences courts. We're meant to have 60 around the country. The issue is, are those courts operating as optimally as they should do? We have Tutuzela care centres where victims, survivors of rape or sexual offences can go to receive medical attention and to have evidence collected, make statements, have the forensic evidence collected. Are they functioning as optimally as possible? The police have a specialised unit dealing with child and family violence. Is that operating as effectively as possible? And then similarly with the prosecuting authority.
And those are the number of questions that people ask, because we still find a number of sexual offences that go unreported due to fear of victimization and stigma. How do we address that, you know, from a legislative perspective, thus ensuring that more people come forward and report these cases?
Look, it's difficult to deal with it from a legislative perspective, but I think that obviously if a victim, a survivor of a sexual assault, of rape, gets better treatment, if the secondary victimization is reduced, hopefully people will be more willing to come forward. But it's a complex issue. Somebody may be raped by somebody that they know, and they may not want to report it for that reason. It may be somebody in the family. There's not much we can do about that, but the key issue would be to make the experience of reporting and having the matter investigated an easier one. And similarly, the experience in court. So hopefully, if we can get that better right, then it would encourage more people to come forward.
Why do you think, Mr. Jeffries, women take so long before coming forward? We had the former MP, ANC MP, Jennifer Ferguson, that came forward. And what are some of the challenges dealing with that?
Look, I think it varies from place to place. I mean, it's an international phenomena, as you know. In America, people coming forward after a number of years to make complaints about different personalities, TV actors, directors, whatever. It's not just women. There's the Kevin Spacey issue, which involved men. I would say it's a number of reasons, but it would probably be issues of fear of not being believed, not wanting to go through the whole process, further traumatization of reporting it, issues like that. But it obviously does make it more difficult if people take a while to report. Then it's more difficult to prove that the offence took place.
Now, in the end, could you take us through some of the outcomes from the forum and when it will be implemented?
Well, as I said, it's not one thing that needs to be done. It's a number of things, and I imagine that from the discussions, different sections will already start trying to improve on different areas that were introduced. There were a number of issues: better training for the police, better resources, better cooperation between the police and the prosecutors, in terms of the investigation and the matter going to court, greater sensitivity training for presiding officers. There were complaints of some of the prosecutors not also being sufficiently skilled, better processing as far as the forensic evidence, the DNA tests, and things like that. All those recommendations are going to be compiled in a report. And then, as I said, it will be given to the statutory committee referred to in the Sexual Offences Act, chaired by the Director General of Justice, to monitor the implementation, and we will continue with the steering committee that established or facilitated the workshop to also ensure that there's monitoring of the process there. But let me just stress again, it's not just one thing that needs to be done and one can say that will be done in 2 weeks' time. Mm-hmm. It's processes that need to be fine-tuned effectively.
Let's have a look at the front pages from across the globe. We'll start off in Europe with the Times this morning, reporting that child predators are using YouTube as a shop window to showcase abused children before exchanging explicit footage and images with pedophiles around the globe. In Australia, the Daily Telegraph says 2 sisters are fighting for their lives after being critically injured in a fiery head-on crash which killed their parents on Boxing Day as the state's road toll soars. And finally, in Israel, the Jerusalem Post reports that Finance Minister Moshe Kahlon Kulani party will hold a crucial faction meeting that may lead to the end of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government after the release of the police recommendations to indict him, which are expected in the coming weeks, Kulani sources said on Tuesday. Let's take a short break. Do stay tuned to Newsroom.
Welcome back. Let's update your sports news. Zimbabwe will return on day 2 of the historic day-night 4-day test match against South Africa in Port Elizabeth with 6 wickets in hand, but trailing the Proteas' first innings by 279 runs. Day 1 belonged to the home team after they won the toss and elected to bat first. Opener Eden Makram scored his second test century from 175 deliveries in just his 4th test before standing in captain AB de Villiers declared South Africa on 309 runs.
Oh, that one straight to the man at mid-wicket. Shot mid-wicket has taken it. And it's taken!
Full toss, singing his praises and dispatched by.
Straight back to him. What a simple catch that was for Mpofu, and what a soft dismissal for AB de Villiers.
Let's hear Aiden Markram now facing Graham Creamer.
And that's it. 100 number 2 for Aiden Makram. He is rising as the future South African opening star.
Let's hear Aiden Markram now facing Graham Creamer.
And that's it. 100 number 2.
Well, it's a good shot, but it's not a poor delivery, I don't think. I think that's exactly what Jarvis.
On 2 minds, oh, taken!
God, what a catch. Brilliant from Temba Bavuma. Absolutely superb. Too good, I'm afraid. That is far too good from...
From 244 runs for 3 at stumps on day 1, Australia fell to 227 all out on day 2 in their first innings against England in the 4th Ashes Test. While the Aussies have an unassailable 3-0 lead in the 5-match series, they are hoping for a series whitewash. England opener Alistair Cook has scored a half-century already, but it hasn't all gone the visitors' way in their first innings.
No, in fact, exactly the opposite. You're looking at hard on a length. None of this wide stuff of bowling.
Yes, yes, yes. Another one's gone. It's 7 for 318, just before the luncheon break. Big shot, got to give him. Yes, he does.
All finding a way to chop on back onto their stumps.
Oh, edged, and Alistair Cook says yes. I've caught it comfortably, and Broad picks up another.
There you go, Pat Cummins.
Black Camp's seamer Trent Bolt was virtually unplayable under overcast skies as he ripped through West Indies' top order to clinch New Zealand's 66-run win via Duckworth-Lewis system method, along with a 3-0 series whitewash at Hagley Oval. In the English Premier League, it was a dramatic and record-breaking Boxing Day. Manchester United came from 2 goals down to rescue a draw against Burnley, while Tottenham striker Harry Kane shattered a Premier League record with a hat-trick in a 5-2 rout of Southampton. At Wembley, Kane established a new record for the most Premier League goals in a year and will finish as Europe's leading goal scorer for 2017. Kane's 22nd minute header was his 37th goal of the year, moving him past Alan Shearer's previous Premier League record, which was set when he played for Blackburn back in 1995. But Kane wasn't happy to settle for that milestone, and he scored twice more to claim his 8th treble of the year. His second goal took him to 55 for the club and country in 2017, lifting him above Barcelona's Lionel Messi to become Europe's top scorer over the last 12 months in the 5 major countries.
It is Defoe. What a wonderful free kick! And what a scoreline for Burnley! They're 2 up at Old Trafford. This is Young.
Ashley Barnes gave Burnley the perfect start in the 30-minute. Belgium striker Steven Defoe administered the knockout blow, bending a superb free kick into the top corner. Replacement Jason Lingard gave United hope with a sublime back-flicked finish from Ashley Young's cross in the 53rd minute. And Lingard finished as United's hero when he fired into the bottom corner in the first minute of a stoppage time, with Manchester City not in action until today's trip to Newcastle. United are now 12 points behind the runaway leaders. Liverpool retained their grip on 4th place in Philippe Coutinho's gem-inspired a 5-0 demolition of the bottom club Swansea. Former Peru Soccer Federation President Manuel Burga was found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy by U.S. jury in New York. Burga was charged along with former President CONMEBOL Juan Angel Napout and former President of Brazil Soccer Federation Jose Maria Marin with taking bribes in exchange for the award of available marketing and media rights to international soccer matches. U.S. prosecutors have charged 42 people and entities in this case, at least 24 of whom have pleaded guilty.
We won. And it was the right thing for the jury to do. I really believe that. The evidence just, the case was an important case, and the government did a very good and thorough job. But at least as to this gentleman over here to my left, I think the jury saw the truth.
And coming back home, boxing fans have taken to social media to share their condolences to the Towell family after their 4-time SA champion Willie Towell passed away on Christmas night, and he was age 83. Towell won a bronze medal in the flyweight division at the 1952 Olympics. He also had a sterling professional career and retired at the age of 27 with a record of 46-6 and 26 wins combined way of knockout. Towell went to New York to become the first South African to top a bill at the Madison Square Garden on November 20th in 1959. To fight American boxer Lenny Matthews, Towell won on points. And that's how we come to the end of your first installment of Newsroom. Up next, weather doctor Philip Hawkins standing by with your weather update.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's take a look at that weather for today. We're expecting quite a bit of rainfall forecast for South Africa's eastern areas. We're expecting isolated showers over the eastern regions of South Africa there, especially around the interior of KZN and surrounding areas there. But what, of course, we can expect for today, well, it's going to be a little bit of a warm one in the northern and western parts of the country. We'll get you all that and more coming up very shortly. Stay with us here on the SABC.
We're explorers. We always have been. Endlessly curious, always looking for answers, for new frontiers, for new stories. Because that is who we are. From script to screen, from yelling action to taking you on a journey. Radio producers, script writers, on-air presenters, news reporters, sports analysts. We spend late nights creating captivating storylines and earlier mornings keeping you informed, educated, and entertained. For us, it's not a job, it's a calling. We do this and more because you do your part. SABC TV licenses, made possible by you.
Ho, 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 Jumbo Africa. I'm Elvis Preslin, and from me and the Newsroom team, we wish you a safe, merry, and a happy Christmas. Let's all hope that you enjoy a festive season ahead. As we conclude 2017, let's hope that we see you back in 2018, bright and as happy as usual, here on the Newsroom team. Ciao for now. Arrivederci. Ho, ho, ho.
Testicular cancer is the most common cancer in men between 15 and 39. But if picked up early enough, there's a 95% chance of survival. The Cancer Association of South Africa knew that if they could find a way to get a conversation started, they'd be able to increase the chances of early detection. Problem is, South African guys really don't like talking about personal stuff.
The lifetime risk for prostate cancer in men in South Africa is 1 in 18, according to the 2013 National Cancer Registry. Meet Johan Foster. He is a retired bank director. He recently found out he has prostate cancer right after undergoing a heart operation.
What happened is I went for a 6-monthly checkup with a cardiologist because I had a heart operation last year. And with the blood tests in May this year, he found that the test as far as the prostate is concerned is showing that they should have a look at my prostate. So he referred me to a Dr. Naidu in Mediclinic in Midrand, and then they did a biopsy. And the results from the biopsy was that I've got prostate cancer.
Finding out that you have cancer or that the cancer has come back causes the most anxiety and fear. Fear of treatment and doctor's visits.
Mentally, it was a big shock. I did not experience the same type of anxiety and things when I heard that I had to get a heart valve replacement. So when I heard about just the word cancer, to me was like, I don't think that will happen to me.
The PCA test is a blood test used primarily to screen for prostate cancer. A PCA test does not diagnose cancer, but it can be used along with other tests to determine if the cancer is present.
I never went for PSA tests or anything because when I checked previously when I had the heart valve replacements and septicemia, when they did the prostate, they had a look at the prostate, they said it was fine. So it was only when they did this, the beginning of this year, the test, that we found that there could be something wrong.
Radiotherapy treatment to the prostate gland is also known as radical therapy. The aim is to destroy the cells while doing as little harm as possible to nearby tissues. Johan advises for men to go out and get tested for prostate cancer, as it is something that you can find on your own.
I have actually advocated to all my friends and everybody that they should go at least twice a year to go and have a prostate checkup, because it's not something that it won't happen to you. It does happen, and it happens so quickly that within 6 months from the previous checkup, 6 months later, there was a sign that I had prostate cancer.
Very good morning to you. Welcome to Newsroom. We're coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg. I'm Shante Yankes. Thank you very much for joining me.
And I'm Maruma Kekana from the sports desk. Greetings to you.
Definitely. Today we have a look at our question of the day. We're asking a more serious question. What do we need to do in order to curb fires in informal settlements? Of course, this is on the backdrop of those fires that took place over the festive season in Cape Flats in Cape Town. Please send us your comments on @SABC Newsroom. We do have some comments that have already come in.
Yeah, we have this one from Alpha Mahaule saying that we need to vote for a caring, competent government that will end informal settlements by building houses for those people.
Definitely. This one coming in from Nazim Krutbom. It starts with the people. They must not leave stoves, candles, kids alone, or cook when they are drunk. I don't know about that. It's quite a tricky situation, specifically in the informal settlements. What does one do? They rely on paraffin.
Have you find how close those shacks are built? So if just one catches fire, then the whole block is up in smoke.
600 homes have been gutted just this past weekend alone.
And from the sports desk, what we are asking you today is, what do you make of the first ever day-night test match? That's, of course, currently taking place between South Africa and Zimbabwe out in Port Elizabeth. So let's get to see what you have to say about this.
Well, you said it was quite riveting, day one.
It was fun, interesting. Do not miss that one. Make sure you watch that game tonight. This one from Duduzi Azaya Bonage saying that not fair to Zimbabwe, gave advantage to SA. I would like to hear some more on what exactly means by that.
Let's hear a woman's point of view. Christina says it's going to be over in 2 days. I don't know if we're going to have to
We'll take that, which means she's saying we're wrapping up in 2 days. I'll take her view.
We'll take it, Christina. Of course, let's have a look at your morning headlines this Wednesday morning. The President Zuma joined scores of South Africans in sending messages of condolences following the passing of music producer Robby Malinga. A Mpumalanga road accident killed 5 others after a vehicle loses control near Komati Port. The city of Cape Town vows to help more than 600 people displaced by fires.
And from the sports desk, it's day 2 of the historic in Zimbabwe in Port Elizabeth. Aiden Makram hit his 2nd century in 3 test matches, and Morne Mokal produced a devastating spell of new ball bowling as South Africa took command on first day of a 4-day day-night test against Zimbabwe out at the St. George's Park in PE. The visitors are on the back foot with a 4 down and still trailing the Proteas' first innings by a whopping 279 runs. Day 1 belonged to the home team after they won the toss and elected to bat. Boxing fans have taken to social media to share their condolences to the Towell family after 4-time South African champion Willie Towell passed away on Christmas night. He was age 83. Towell won a bronze medal in the flyweight division at the 1952 Olympics. May his soul rest in peace.
Indeed, let's have a look at your top story this morning. Marumo is standing by with your sports in just a bit. The President Jacob Zuma has joined many prominent South Africans in sending messages of condolences following the passing of music legend Robby Malinga. A memorial service will be held on Friday, followed by his funeral service next Tuesday. Tributes continue to pour in for the Afro-pop singer, songwriter and producer.
Are you ready to sing with me? What's up?
From humble beginnings to a renowned star and composer, it all started on the streets of Soweto. Number 1903 in Meadowlands, a place Malinga called home for over 3 decades.
We loved him whenever he will come here. We used to come out on the streets and be happy. We are so proud of him. He really put us on the map.
He used to come to us as neighbors, door to door, as we wish him a happy Christmas, say everything. He was a very friendly person.
Will live on in their hearts.
Baby, baby, bengi rongo. Mtande, umuntu wako.
At his Dainfern home, many lost for words. Malinga battled ill health for the last few months.
He actually had his last breath on my hands. You know, he asked me to tend him after seeing the whole family, because we had lunch organized by him, you know. And he looked at everyone, smiled. After I've turned him, that was it, you know.
The government has described Malinga's death as a huge loss for South Africa and the music industry. A memorial service for the star will take place on Friday, followed by his funeral next week, Tuesday. Malinga is survived by a wife and 4 children. Mahlako Komani, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Well, for more on the Afro-pop legend Robby Malinga's passing, SABC News earlier spoke to entertainer DJ Spoo, who thanked the public on messages of condolences.
It's condolences, you know. We thank the country for the heartwarming messages and just their concern in the entire music industry. He was a very young man. He's done extremely well for himself. He's an icon for us. And as much as he was a young man, but we got money.
South Africa, young musicians, up and coming.
Yeah, he's the greatest producer of all time in this country. There's 2 of the most highest selling producers of all time in this country, and that's him and Babachiko Twala. Babachiko Twala was responsible for the careers of the late Mam Brenda Fassie, may so rest in peace. Robby Malinga produced everybody from hip-hop to Afro-soul, Afro-pop, Kwaito, house music. He's responsible for my career. He was my musical mentor. He was a musical mentor to a lot of people. He's worked with everyone from HP, Naima K, Zahara, Kabelo, Buga Two Shoes. And he had evolved to unearthing new talent, the likes of Abu Musa. Geez, I mean, there's so many people. There's a lot of us. I can imagine people that have worked with him in the past. Abum Jakes, they've had a long-standing relationship in the music industry. And there isn't anyone in this industry in South Africa who doesn't know of
he was very versatile as well. But talk to us about your working relationship, just before we talk about your friendship in J. Your working relationship with him, you are telling me off air that he actually worked in each and every project that you've ever had.
Yeah, pretty much all my projects he's been a part of, except for the first one, but he's pretty much been my musical mentor. He's always had the ear for music. He's been going out since he was young. He's done Kwaito music, he's worked with Abu Maloya from back in those days, and he evolved from Kwaito to what Kwaito became as an Afro-pop, evolving to hip-hop and trying out different sounds. But my relationship with him and Jakes has always given my music career hits. He's responsible for the man that I have become. And obviously the music opened a lot of doors for me to end up becoming the entrepreneur that I am today is because of his contribution. And he has done that for a whole lot of other people, unselfishly. He never wanted the spotlight. He's always been behind the scenes. He always guides. He's an amazing vocalist, an amazing writer. He's got an ear for music, executive producer, he's a fully fledged musician, and I think he's one of the greatest musicians of all time in this country. Other people used to say he was underrated, but I think, and he used to always joke around and say, but I think people who know South African music know that Robby is actually the greatest producer of all time in this country.
And I think that's the problem with us. We don't get to celebrate our icons while they're still with us. We wait until they're gone and then we start talking good about them.
Yeah, and I think Robby's music speaks for itself. His work speaks for itself. I guess you can see now, you can hear, you know, the amount of things that people are saying.
Yeah. Something that saddens most of us go, only at the age of 49. I mean, having to look at his kids as well. I remember I read an article on him on one of the magazines whereby he was saying, my fear in it's my children, they're still too young, they're spoiled, and I think when I'm gone, no one will be able, you know, to spoil them as much as I do.
Yeah, I think it came as a shock, and was a great leader. I mean, if you look at Rob Marley, his firstborn son, turned out amazingly. Very positive boy, well-spoken, went to good schools. So Robby, everything he did for his family. You can even follow his social media. It was always about his wife, about his children, about humor. I think people dearly missed. It's quite a sad one, and it's quite tough.
It's very sad.
Yeah, if it's tough for us, imagine his family. House spending Christmas, and he was there with his family, and unfortunately passed on in front of his family. And I think it's not an easy one.
It's not good. But your fondest memories?
Musician, and that's what he was, and that's about this generation. Everybody respected. That artist. Robby is an icon, and he deserves to.
The seat of government. From the UDM.
% of the vote.
Irrelevant public events, flashy motor cars, wasteful expenditure on cadre deployment.
From the onset, it became obvious that the smaller coalition partners will play a big role.
It just shows to South Africans that they actually are the custodians of democracy in this country. Change. So essentially what's happened, we've got sun shining day in the middle of winter. It just shows you that we should be a real tourism destination, and that the city I look forward to exploiting that potential, addressing the issues of unemployment, poor service delivery, and obviously corruption stopped last night at midnight.
But the honeymoon did not last long. The first sign was a no-show by some political party meetings for a special council meeting earlier in the year, and then the ousting of Bobani as head of public health, and later as deputy mayor. Allegations implicating Bobani in illegal spending in the extended public goods program appointments and his erratic behavior after he voted against the coalition on numerous occasions were put forward for his dismissal.
That the council resolves to remove Councillor M.E. Bobani from his position as deputy executive mayor.
So I'm still interested. Where did I fail? I don't know where did I fail, except that you can go to the communities, they will tell you, you know, we have done something, public health have done something that was never done for more than 23 years. So I'm still wondering where did I fail when I might strike here that could have actually fought the strike, and now the confidence of the workers is there. Not a single corruption that is actually there. Not a single corruption that is there. All this thing about corruption right now is still actually in the media, whatever. If a person is saying that you are corrupt, prove that you are corrupt. Put the charges and take those charges to court.
The Patrick Alliance then withdrew from the coalition and subsequently brought a motion of confidence against the mayor and Speaker Jonathan Avak. It was seconded by Bobani. The motion failed as the EFF, with 6 seats, did not vote with the opposition parties.
65.
It's not a failure to me. It's not a failure to the Patriotic Alliance, and it's not a failure to the Black Caucus who was in favor of the motion to carry. The positive that came out of it, at least the cat came out of the bag of the EFF, who claims that they are opposition, yet they are in coalition, unofficially so, with the DA. And this motion, we found out way before the time that they are not going to support this motion.
We're not going to allow the ANC or anyone else to want to get through the back door. Give power to the DA to lead this municipality. They needed our support, and we're giving them that. It will never happen.
At this point, the UDM is effectively not participating in the running of the metro. Questions are being raised about the effect on service delivery by the infighting. The metro extended its deadline to eradicate the bucket system in the city by 6 months. The municipality says that by September, it reduced the bucket toilet system by nearly 4,000 units, with a further 12,300 left to eradicate. Former MMC for Infrastructure Engineering, Annette Lovemore, says this was largely the result of people moving into RDP houses or to be service stands where RDP houses were to be built.
That it will win the if as a result of this conference it is able to regroup and rebuild and salvage what's left of the brand. So it has got no choice but to say we've seen that and we've experienced that change, and therefore we can vote the DA back into power.
The DA also plans to remove the position of deputy mayor from its organogram. They've committee. Lerato Tipa, SABC News, Port Elizabeth.
Well, as 2000 on some of the high-profile appeal cases heard at the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein. Well, they include the state appeal against the sentence of Oscar Pistorius' murder trial, as well as President Jacob Zuma's spy tapes appeal, among others. Tabiso Khatebe reports.
Jacob Zuma's spy tapes appeal was one of the most high-profile cases to be heard by judges at the Supreme Court of Appeal. In October, the highest appeal court in the country dismissed with cost the president's appeal in his long-running battle to avoid prosecution for fraud and corruption. This comes after the High Court in Pretoria found that the NPA should have not withdrawn the 783 charges against President Zuma. The charges were based on the spy tapes revelation by the then Scorpions and NPA bosses. Zuma's representatives argued in court that charges raised by the DA against the president was shocking and a show of desperation.
One of the issues I said was about the lawfulness of the tapes, so they looked around and they found this lawful source of the tapes.
The Democratic Alliance says a move to find President Zuma innocent was irrational. DA leader Helen Zille says nobody is above the law and even the president needs to be held accountable for his actions.
My Democrats, this is one of the most important days in the history of our democracy. Supreme Court of Appeal. And the Supreme Court of Appeal has said today, we are all equal before the law. None of us is above the law. And if anybody is suspected of a crime and there is that person in court
murder conviction, acting Judge Patrick was found dead at a Bantry Bay apartment in 2009. In March 20 to 18 years imprisonment, his will and then fraudulently trying to pass it off as an authentic. Believe he was suffocated, conclusively proven. Maqubela's legal representatives argued that the deceased may have died of Pistorius' murder trial was declared as the newsmaker of the year for 2015. Pistorius fatally shot his girlfriend, model the bathroom. Reason for the
and the law
home made by the Eastern Cape Mandela's home in Qunu. Madikizela Mandela believes that the Minister of Land Affairs decision in November 1997, in which the land to her in 1989. In November, Justice Minister Michael Masuta denied Chrisani's killer Janusz Walu's parole. At this stage, the Polish immigrant and extreme Clive de Lewis were sentenced in 1993. Walush fired the fatal shot and W. Lewis provided the gun. The sentence were reduced to life. Overturned the High Court's decision in Pretoria, granting turned down Walu's application in Bloemfontein.
Well, 5 people have died on the N4 toll road near Komati Port in Mpumalanga.
Another fatal crash. Over 500 road crashes. Speeding and driving. Drivers were arrested.
Edge the community at large, people who you make, including to make road users to be safe.
Well, the city of Cape Town has after the fire gutted the informal settlement of shacks. No injuries were.
Both their homes and their spread quickly. A lot of people have spent what everything. She, like Teresa Carose, are asking for form.
We need a place to stay. It's gone. We have no.
The city of school clothes and furniture will be welcomed.
KZN police say investigation into the Gleplan's Hostel murders of Dolokela Nkakata, who was August. The hostel is notorious for hit squads on
2 murders. The killing also on the police most wanted list. Possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. 7 suspects. Police uniforms and vital documents at home. Police say they are expecting to make more arrests soon. Since 2000.
following the 2 candidates are former 7 weeks due to against the Electoral Commission over the conduct. Complaints appear to have been addressed. A runoff democratic transition since 1944. Some international news. Peru disappointed the nation. In a video posted, Kuczynski, the remarks were Fujimori's since Kuczynski unexpectedly pardon cleared Fujimori's previous
taking to the streets in disagreement with the decision taken by their president. This after the pardon he granted to former leaders after a hand saved Kuczynski from a vote that nearly toppled him. But the pardon threatens to pitch his centre-right government into a new political crisis.
It's by nature controversial, opposed to the pardon. My decision is a through a reconciliatory effort and a
protesters may being treated, chanting traitor, and the pardon has to go, prompting rushed to in intensive care on Monday to treat a drop in his blood pressure and an abnormal heartbeat. He has been described as a deeply divisive figure in Peru. Later, others credit him with ending insurgency of
the region, leaving 70,000 others homeless.
And rebuild their
is willing to provide assistance to the best
weekend evacuation of locals from the to bring their boats back to the near ports. A snowstorm traffic. Heavy snow grounded all flights and caused chaos for Christmas traveling. The local weather agency is warning of more snowfall, avalanches and high waves.
With your sports when we come back.
always answers for new frontiers, for we are. From script to screen, from on air present. For us, it's not a job. made possible.
Ho, ho, ho. I know the festive period is upon us. And
next year, do keep it sporty.
A 4-day test match against Day one belonged to the home team after they won the toss and elected to bat first. Opener Aiden Makram on 309 runs.
That one straight to the man at mid-wicket. Shot mid-wicket has taken it.
That was for Mpofu. AB.
And that's it. He is rising as the future South African opening.
But it's not a poor delivery.
Taken.
They won all out on day two in their first inning against England in the fourth Ashes. Ready, but it has
in fact, Cummins, none of this wide stuff of bowling. Oh, edged and comfortably and brought.
He's taken it. Black. This top order to clinch. Dramatic and record with a hat-trick in a 5-2 drubbing of Southampton. At Wembley, Kane established a new record for the moving him past for Black. But Kane wasn't happy to settle for that milestone, and he scored twice. Yeah, his second goal took him to 55 of the last 12 months in.
What a wonderful free kick!
A flicked finish from Ashley Young's cross in the 53rd minute, and Lingard finished as United's hero when he fired into the bottom corner in the first minute of a stoppage time. With Manchester City not in action until today's trip to Newcastle, United are now 12 points behind the runaway leaders. Liverpool retained their grip on 4th place as Felipe Coutinho's gem inspired a 5-0 demolition of a bottom club, Swansea. Former Peru Soccer Federation President Manuel Borga was found not guilty of racketeering. Angel Napote and former President and the media rights to international soccer matches. U.S. prosecutors have charged 42 entities, and in the case that at least 24 of whom have pleaded guilty.
Important case, and the government did a very good, at least as to this gentleman.
Lots of wet weather coming in. Going to see that rainfall intensifying in that area as well. Wet weather. A little bit more detail what's happening in your city today. Temperatures range from towards the east. Now we'll see it. Gaborone isolated 6 and continuing in Madagascar, temperatures of 28 degrees.
the Northwest and Free State.
Altered. Some of the rock. So a lot of the high level. You see, you
Nations for its survival, but for the Northwest University found
especially the short we saw now a was very, very interesting.
for those who want There are growing calls that the government must cooperate with the land.
The past that I can
people. Whether every
Let's Wednesday. What do those fires that took place, putting almost is needed vitamins together.
This one coming from people must have a decent
over the
and from the sports desk.
well, and his name national or former between
A test match between against Zimbabwe at the St. George with 4.
And FIFA will play tweet purporting to be free. So we're said on is a great hope.
Yeah, we used to come up.
At his Dainfern home, many lost next week.
Well for himself. He's an icon for us. Fasime, so ready from hip hop. Worked with everyone.
Versatile as well, but telling me off air that he actually worked in each and every project.
Except for the first. For me to a lot of other people, unselfishly. He never wanted the spotlights. He's always been. He's an amazing vocalist, an amazing writer. He's got an ear for. Robby speaks for itself. His work speaks for itself. I guess you can see now.
Saddens most age of to spoil.
He did it for his family. Spending Christmas.
Fondest memories of him.
Fully fledged from Abu Makruban. Everybody respect. Work spoke for the
Well, the DA government. Friction between the DA Mayor Athol Trollip on criminal charges of relation with the UDP unable to and Bobani.
% of the vote and 57 seats in the 100.
There will be no more glitz and glamour of
role.
It just shows custodians of ours have got enormous and obviously corruption.
And later, appointments and his erratic behavior after he voted.
Except that you can go to the more than actually thought that is there. All this thing about corruption. Put the churches and take those churches.
It was seconded by Bobani.
Kuzu was in favor of we found
or anyone and give them to the ANC. It will never happen.
At this participating in the running of the metro, the effect on service delivery by the infighting. The metro extended its deadline to eradicate the bucket toilet system by
coalition of its conference, it is able to regroup and rebuild can say we've seen that can
mayor from its organogram. There have also been 2 Elizabeth.
Well, as 2000, some of the high. Well, they include the Boris's murder trial as well as
the president's appeal in his long-running battle to avoid found that the NPA against President Zuma. The charges were based on the spy the president was shocking and a show of desperation.
One of
nobody is above the law, and if
my Democrats, this is one of the most important days and the Supreme Law. Anybody is suspected of a crime
she was jailed for her husband acting of her husband pass it off as an author. Deceased may have died of natural causes.
My argument has the medical the mendacious conduct of the appellant.
The trial was declared as the newsmaker 2013 claimed was arrested and charged with murder. The SCA had increased 6 years in prison for the murder of Steenkamp.
On behalf of the families, I want to say that
Mandela's ex-wife Winnie approached the 2016 decision made by the Eastern. The High Court Madikizela Mandela she claims that were reduced to life. W. Lewis was granted 15 after being diagnosed with terminal over parole. This was after Masuta appealed the ruling.
Jansefa Nivot had indicated that his concerns does not matter. Husband, and we felt it was extremely insensitive.
The crash. It's believed one of the vehicles
and a Toyota
in more than one a challenge. 300
but immediately you get into the road. Of
informal set 100 shacks. No injuries have been reported, but residents
a lot of people have spent whatever funds they had on Christmas. Teresa Carrose are asking for says
we bought everything for our children for school already, and now it's gone.
provided. Any donations, including
has appointed a permanent national commissioner, General Ketla Sitole. The general's appointment was made by APS had been with of General Ria Piecha in October of 2015. Police Minister, Police Commissioner, Police looks back at some of the highlights of Mbalula.
Following a midnight reports to the police.
meet fire with fire. toys. You are giving those guns to use them to.
More controversy. The minister refused to support implementation.
I owe nobody a favor. He never did me to the ANC that can tell me, Minister, you are now out of.
Appeal was subsequent.
Very long time in the.
However, refused to back down, making several attempts to return to
I'm dealing with it, but it's not a major issue.
fell on the then acting police commissioner, General Khomotso. Patlane's downfall
So General Patlani went home, and that's where he is.
Then came allegations Amaperete.
If
Now,
Hostel is notorious.
Linked to 2 murders. and vital documents were recovered from some of the suspects' home.
Enjoy a festive season ahead.
It's Christmas, it's a festive season, it's everything good and...
See you next year.
On it.
Made possible by you.
Welcome back. Let's give you your concluding sports bulletin. Zimbabwe. Belonged to the home team after they won the toss. It's a fourth test before.
Oh, that one's...
Best by
African Malcolm now facing Graham Creamer.
I think that's exactly what Jarvis.
So take.
God, what a catch! Brilliant.
Serious, they are hoping.
No, in fact.
All finding a way to
overcast skies as he rescue a draw against with a hat-trick in a 5-2. At Wembley, Kane established a new record for Premier League record, which was set when him above 24 administered the knockout blow, bending a superb free kick into the top corner. Replacement JC Lingard gave United hope with a sublime back-flicked finish from Ashley Young's cross in the 53rd minute. And Lingard finished as United hero when he fired into the bottom corner in the first minute of a stoppage time. With Manchester City not in action until today's trip to Newcastle, United are now 12 points behind the runaway leaders. Liverpool retained their grip on the 4th place as Filipino Coutinho's gem inspired a 5-0 demolition of bottom club Swansea. Former Peru Soccer Federation President Manuel Buga was found not guilty of a racketeering conspiracy by the U.S. jury in New York. Buga was charged along with former president of CONMEBOL, Juan Angel Napo, and former president of Brazil Soccer Federation, Jose Maria Marin, with taking bribes in exchange for award of available marketing and media rights to international soccer matches. U.S. prosecutors have charged 42 people and entities in this case, and at least 24 of whom have pleaded guilty.
We won. And it was the right thing for the jury to do. I really believe that. The evidence just, the case was an important case, and the government did a very good and thorough job. But at least as to this gentleman over here to my left, I think the jury saw the truth.
Boxing fans have taken to social media to share their condolences to the Tawil family after 4-time South African champion Willie Tawil passed away on Christmas night. He was aged 83. Tawil won a bronze medal in the flyweight division in the 1952 Olympics. He also had a sterling professional career and retired at the age of 27 with a record of 46-6-2, 23 wins coming by the way of knockout. Tawil went to New York to become the first South African top bill at the Madison Square Garden on November the 20th back in 1959 to fight the American boxer Lenny Matthews. Tawil won on points. That's your sports at this hour. Up next is your weather forecast.
All right, let's take another look at your weather for today. And of course, what we're expecting is a little bit of a wet weather coming into South Africa's eastern regions here. Low pressure system starting to draw in some moisture there. It's only isolated showers, but it does affect areas in the southeastern interior of South Africa. We're also seeing some slightly heavier rainfall around Zambia and the southern parts of Angola, as well as the northern parts of Mozambique and Madagascar. Lots of wet weather coming into those areas there. Now, tomorrow's weather is going to see that rainfall continuing in South Africa's northeast, in fact, intensifying in that area as well, especially around the eastern coastline and parts of Mpumalanga, up to a 60% chance of showers in those regions. And we're also seeing those isolated showers now extending down towards PE and East London. Low pressure systems joining up with wet weather in northern Namibia. Now, let's take a look in a little bit more detail what's happening in your city today. Temperatures range from the higher 20s all the way into the 40-degree mark throughout the western parts of the country. Uppington is at 40 degrees, Springbok 33. Most areas in this region of the country are expecting a veld fire danger, so please be aware of that. Towards the east, well, we're seeing some wet weather coming in. Temperatures a little bit more mild, especially in the northeast, with Pretoria peaking at 26 and Johannesburg at 25. Polokwane peaks at 23 degrees. Now we'll see a 25-degree maximum in Beitbridge. Bulawayo peaks at 26 and Harare 21. The wet weather continues in Harare for today, as well as Gaborone, there isolated showers. And Maputo 26 and a little bit of cloud cover indeed. Now the wet weather once again continuing in Madagascar. Temperatures of 28 degrees forecast for the area. The capital Antananarivo expecting wind speeds gusting up around 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. Back onto continental Africa, we'll see those rainfalls continuing around the western areas there. Libreville, 28 degrees. Brazzaville at 32 and Kinshasa the same. Drier weather, though, for Mombasa, Nairobi, Mogadishu, Kampala and Addis Ababa. These areas entirely missing out on the rainfall for today. It is going to be a dry one for those regions of the Northern Hemisphere. Now, of course, that Northern Hemisphere is expecting some rainfall, especially over areas such as Algeria and surrounding areas, the northern coastline of Libya. Those are all the result of a low-pressure system which is moving through Europe at the moment. And that's bringing in a lot of snowfall in Europe, but it's also bringing in cooler and wetter conditions through both today and tomorrow on that northern coastline of Africa. So let's take a look at those temperatures. You can see average temperatures there around the mid-teens for Benghazi and Tripoli. We're even seeing Cairo peaking at about 21 degrees. No wet weather in Cairo. It should remain dry for today. Moving on to the western parts of Africa, that wet weather and those cool conditions are very apparent around Rabat, Algiers, Tunis. But on the southern coastline, dry weather, sunny skies and warm conditions into the lower to mid-30s. That's where we'll leave your weather for now. Stay with us here on the SABC.
And just before we leave you today, we're going to be having a look at some of your comments coming in on the backdrop of our question of the day. Today we asked you, what do we need to do to curb fires in informal settlements? Let's see what you have to say.
Jabulani Motlong saying the people living there must be extremely careful about leaving the candles at night unattended.
Definitely. This one coming in from Buhle. A good governance is needed. People must have a decent place to stay. Let's eradicate informal settlements.
Daumlambo saying that extra caution is needed as far as fire usage in informal settlement is concerned, because most of the shacks or houses are too densely.
This one coming in from Nazim Krutboom. It starts with the people. They must not leave stoves, candles, kids alone or cook when they are drunk. That one coming in from Nazim Krutboom.
And of course, we are also asking you a question from the sports desk. What do you make of the first ever day-night test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe? Let's check out what you have to say.
What do you make of it, Maro?
I think it's cool. I think it's fun.
This one coming in from Tao. Great experience and the spark at the stadium looks awesome.
See, Taumlambo and myself on the same WhatsApp group. Nazim saying, wow, that's awesome. First day and night test match. I really enjoyed it last night. Hopefully he'll enjoy the second day too.
Some of us are working, so we'll be watching via sidelines and TV. This one coming in from Duduzi. Not fair to Zim, gave the advantage to South Africa. Well, mixed views coming in.
Christina, my favorite tweet ever. It's going to be over in 2 days.
She's not having it at all, Christina. That is a wrap-up of Newsroom. Thank you very much for joining myself, Shante Yankees.
And of course, Maruma Kekan, it's been real. Have a good day.
Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
We do not just speak. We let every voice in our nation find full expression in language and in culture. We do not just teach. We empower all people with education, But the news is happening. We do not just entertain. We do not just broadcast sport. We create an arena for sporting heroes to inspire you. Ours is not just a job, it's a calling to ensure that everyone in our nation is informed, educated. We're able to do this because you do your part. SABC TV licenses. It's all made possible by you.
SABC.
Thank you.
Low to mid-30s. That's where we'll leave your weather for now. Stay with us here on the SABC.
And just before we leave you today, we're going to be having a look at some of your comments coming in on the backdrop of our question of the day. Today we asked you, what do we need to do to curb fires in informal settlements? Let's see what you have to say.
Jabulani Motlong saying the people living there must be extremely careful about leaving the candles at night unattended.
Definitely. This one coming in from Buhle. A good governance is needed. People must have a decent place to stay. Let's eradicate informal settlements.
Daumlambo saying that extra caution is needed as far as fire usage in informal settlement is concerned, because most of the shacks or houses are too densely.
This one coming in from Nazim Krutboom. It starts with the people. They must not leave stoves, candles, kids alone or cook when they are drunk. That one coming in from Nazim Krutboom.
And of course, we are also asking you a question from the sports desk. What do you make of the first ever day-night test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe? Let's check out what you have to say.
What do you make of it, Maro?
I think it's cool. I think it's fun.
This one coming in from Tao. Great experience and the spark at the stadium looks awesome.
See, Taumlambo and myself, we're on the same WhatsApp group. Nazim saying, wow, that's awesome. First day and night test match. I really enjoyed it last night. Hopefully he'll enjoy the second day too.
Some of us are working, so we'll be watching via sidelines and TV. This one coming in from Duduzi. Not fair to Zim, gave the advantage to South Africa. Well, mixed views coming in.
Christina, my favorite tweet ever. It's going to be over in 2 days.
She's not having it at all, Christina. That is a wrap-up of Newsroom. Thank you very much for joining myself, Shanta Yankees.
And of course, Maruma Kekan has been real. Have a good day.
Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
We do not just speak. We let every voice in our nation find full expression in language and in culture. We do not just teach. We empower all people with education. But the news is happening. We do not just entertain. We do not just broadcast sport. We create an arena for sporting heroes to inspire you. Ours is not just a job, it's a calling to ensure that everyone in our